Welcome back to Beyond the Deal, the podcast where we go past the transactions, past the titles, and into the stories that actually shape who we become. Because the truth is, success is never just about the deal. It's about what it costs you, what it builds in you, and who you become on the other side of it. Today's guest is someone who knows that journey firsthand. Catharene Garula has built her career helping organizations close the gaps that slow them down, working at the intersection of product, marketing, and operations to drive execution and create real, measurable growth. As a marketing consultant and fractional CMO, she steps into complex environments and helps leaders turn strategy into action. From the outside, marketing and growth can look like campaigns, metrics, and pipeline. But like so many roles centered around people and performance, there's a deeper story unfolding underneath the surface. Catharene's work is rooted in identifying where the ownership breaks down, where teams lose clarity, momentum stalls, and opportunities slip through the cracks. She helps organizations not just build strategy, but align people, processes, and priorities in a way that actually moves the business forward. But this conversation isn't just about marketing or operations. It's about ownership, accountability, and what it really takes to lead in environments where expectations are high and clarity isn't always guaranteed. It's about navigating growth, building alignment, and stepping into the responsibility required to move things forward. So whether you're leading a team, building a business, or trying to figure out why things feel stuck, this episode is going to meet you there. I'm Lacey Labs, here with my co-host Laura Martin. Let's get into it. Catharene Garula, welcome to Beyond the Deal. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Here. Thank you.
Let's kick it off with you giving us your background and how you got started in business and life.
Sure. So I think that I've always worked in the area of change and impact. Early in my life, I was living on top of an underground mine fire called Centralia, Pennsylvania. I think a lot of people have heard of that town, and I was part of the 7-member committee that helped to lobby Congress for $42 million to relocate the entire community, lock, stock, and barrel. That was my earliest work experience outside of babysitting and picking eggs on a farm.
How old were you? Wow.
I was 18 when I got started and 22 by the time we secured the relocation appropriation.
Wow.
And so I learned a lot about change and process and how to bring a community together to find a common cause and how to deal with negativity and folks that were opposed to that cause and still make it happen anyway. And then after that, I had the pleasure of working with communities all around the United States that were located near Superfund sites and were toxically poisoned and needed to relocate. And over the course of about a decade, was able to secure over $1 billion in funding for their relocations, all without any lawsuits, all through negotiations.
Wow.
So it was really interesting. And then I realized I had some smart children that needed to go to college, and working in the nonprofit arena probably wasn't going to pay for that, although it was the heart and soul of my work. Mm-hmm. And so I made a pivot into business at that time. Okay. And so that was my early background. And I think that I've had the pleasure of working across multiple industries. I worked in government, I worked in nonprofit, I worked in technology, I worked in healthcare, I worked in marketing, so I have many diverse experiences that I think all contribute to where I am now and being able to provide consulting experience for my clients.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Awesome. You're a modern day Erin Brockovich.
I think I was before Erin Brockovich.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that.
In real life, right?
Yes. And she's a real person, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her story's real.
Yes,
right.
And she just stuck with that. I think I've jumped from one thing to another, which is a difference. Very successfully, and I'm grateful for that.
So when you jumped into business, where did you start in that field?
I initially started in government because I saw the impact government could have for communities. Mm-hmm. And I worked in the Treasury Department and realized that I was not going to be an accountant pretty quickly, although it was a very valuable skill to learn accounting and contract management, mm-hmm. and carried that forward. Mm-hmm. And from there, I moved to the IT field, which was really hot at the time, mm-hmm. and worked in IT. And that was really exciting. And that's where I learned that there's a lot of misalignment in teams. And I was able to help to bring that together. And the misalignment started really early with, marketing goes out and figures out who in the world is our customer, creates materials for who they believe the customer is, and then sales goes out and sells, hopefully using those materials, but not always. And then sales will sell things that you don't even offer. They called it they called it vaporware in the day, and I think it still goes on. And then operations has to scramble to fulfill what sales sold so that the company can survive and make a profit, even though it wasn't even the product that they offered. I actually worked at one company where they sold a 24/7 call center support for the product that didn't exist yet. And they had to develop the product, and while they were developing the product, I put together the call center and had to put all the components of that together and hire an entire team. And we did manage to pull it off, and miracles do happen when people work together toward a common cause. So I saw that misalignment very early. It started in IT. And then I moved to the digital marketing arena, which is an offshoot marketing technology from there. I saw a lot of those same issues happening where sales would sell things that didn't exist yet. Oh, sure, we can do that is a common thing that happens. And then somehow or another, operations and production makes it happen. But there's a lot of friction while that's going on. And there's a lot of confusion while that's going on. So, from there, after, marketing, then I started moving into the consulting arena because I thought, okay, I'm seeing this same pattern over and over where teams are misaligned. There's a lot of miscommunications, misunderstanding, and I can help to resolve those things or make those miracles happen so that the company can keep moving forward and they keep their word when sales oversteps what the product actually is.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, anybody in business has probably experienced this at least, even if they weren't in tune with it, because it is pretty common to see sales, marketing, operations, leadership, not necessarily all aligned under one goal, right? There's different things that happen and go on, and there's friction points and conflicts. So as you were jumping into that and seeing that and jumping into that consulting piece and tuning into that, what have you found to kind of be those core pieces that you need to address when you start with a team? Like, how do you jump into that when you're brought in as a consultant? They're already identifying that something's going on if they're bringing you in, right? So that's kind of that first step. Where do you start with people? Like, what area?
Well, first I try to do an assessment and figure out what is actually going on, because usually the company thinks they know what's going on, but they're usually wrong. Sad to say. They have a clue that something is misaligned. They're not getting the results they want when they want them. So the first thing we need to do is take a look at what is actually happening here. So I do an analysis, basic business analysis. Sometimes it's through desk audits and just talking to people and finding out what's happening here, comparing what their job it looks like on the ground compared to what their job description is. I look for people that are creating workarounds to make their job happen and get the results, but aren't part of the standard operating procedures, because those workarounds are probably the things that should be happening anyway, but management hasn't agreed to them or isn't even aware of them yet. And from there, I look for who is supposed to be responsible for this. Do they know they're supposed to be responsible? Is there anyone actually responsible? Sometimes everybody agrees on a goal and marketing moves off in one direction, sales in another, operations in another, and nobody is holding the entire team accountable. So everybody's in agreement, but everybody's doing something different. So finding who is that point person that can bring this all together. And that's where I think my project management background comes in. I have a great, strong project management background. And just helping get the team aligned. Sometimes they're not even talking the same language. I had a job once as a liaison for a software company where I would talk to the customers and the federal government about the regulations, customers about what they wanted, and then I would have to go in and explain to the programmers what that all meant in a programming language and how they could program to meet that goal. So sometimes they just need somebody to interpret between teams what's going on. And they need to, somebody needs to stand up and say, okay, I'm accountable for this. I am the person that everybody reports to. Everybody needs to make it happen, even though each team has their own leader. I'm driving this project or I'm driving this goal. And to really own it. And a lot of times there is the person there who can do it, but they're not empowered to do it.
Right.
Nobody gave them permission yet, and they didn't give themselves permission. Yeah. And I can help make that happen. Mm-hmm. Or maybe there's a bottleneck. Maybe they're not doing it because they're afraid, because there's somebody that even though they say they want it to happen, they have more authority or perceived authority, and they get in the way. And they feel like nothing can happen without them, and so then we have to work with that person to know that maybe it's okay if things happen without you being in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. What would you need to feel comfortable with somebody else driving this so you can stay in charge of the piece you're already in charge of and probably doing a great job with?
Mm. With your calm personality, you're probably good at getting people to say what needs to be said that often isn't.
Well, I'm very direct, and I think it can take people off guard. And then I can do it in a way that's calm because I've been through life and death situations. Nobody's going to die is always a big, important thing when I'm thinking about it at work, because my career started where I was in a life and death situation. People could actually have died from the mine fire, and people could actually have died at those Superfund sites, and some people did from the toxins and the poisons. So the business world seemed a lot better to me in that it probably nobody's going to die. Yeah. And so that helps me to be calm about it. Also probably saved my kids a lot too. Nobody's dying today.
Yeah, that's good perspective.
Now, you were doing training recently, or were you writing training?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So if I go in and I find a gap, there are certain things that you need to do after you take a look and you do an assessment and you say, okay, what is the goal? Then you find a gap. You have to train to fill that gap. And so you can write I can help with writing custom training with the subject matter experts to fill that gap. Mm-hmm. And then once we do that training and roll that out, hopefully that's somebody internal on the team. I might do the first session and train the trainer. I'd like to move along and not stay and become the company trainer. Mm-hmm. But once they understand the process, then they do the training. Then we have to have measurements and say, okay, how are we going to measure our success here? And what are the key performance indicators, KPIs? People hear about those all the time. Mm-hmm. And then we do the measurement and we see what are the results. And wherever there's a success, I've learned this early on in community organizing, you have to celebrate your victories. A lot of teams have victories and they never celebrate them. And people feel like, I'm just killing myself here and nobody ever recognizes it. So I help teach companies how to celebrate their victories. And if they miss the mark, let's talk about that too. And what do we do now to get closer? So we'll do another analysis, see what that gap is, fortify the training. And training isn't just sitting in a classroom. Training can be on-the-job training and doing something until you feel comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And I've had to do that when I worked in technology and do things that, trust me, I was laughed at hysterically by a lot of the folks in hardware when I had to learn how to cable things. It would take me a half an hour to do something they could do in a minute. Yeah. I think maybe my perfectionism is there, but if I could do it, anybody could do it. Mm-hmm. So that was my theory. I'm going to learn how to do it, and if I can do it, I could teach you to do it.
Now, I know you've worked for several national companies doing work for them. How did you, living in central Pennsylvania, how did you end up connecting with these people?
So we have these things called telephones now. And and video conferences. And usually those companies, national companies that I worked for, started because I was in a marketing role for a marketing company and doing a better job than their internal team marketing their product as an external vendor. Mm-hmm. And so they would hire me. And I would accept as long as it was under the condition that I could work from home, be a remote employee, and maybe come into their terrific location quarterly for a week or something so that there was some team bonding, and maybe initially for a couple of weeks so that I could learn who everyone was. But I worked for companies in New York City many times. I worked for companies in California. I worked for companies that were headquartered out of London. I worked for a company that was headquartered out of Sydney, Australia. I usually choose a company that has a headquarters in a place that I'd rather go anyway. That makes it better. Yeah. But it was just through doing a really great job for them and building a rapport, and then I would get hired. Now I try to get hired as a consultant instead of a full-time employee.
Yeah. But a lot of it was through networking? I mean,
through networking, through cold calling. Pick up the phone and, call a company and tell them I had an idea for how to market their product. and find out if they had a budget to try something new, launch that marketing campaign. When it was successful, then I would help their team. They usually wanted to take it over so they didn't have to pay an external vendor, and sometimes I would come in and lead that team.
You are an idea person. I'll get texts from her sometimes, like, you should consider this. Have you done that? Like,
Yeah,
and they're all really unique ideas.
If you pop into my mind and I have an idea, I'm probably going to tell you. And that is also if you're a big brand. So I'm that person that will call and tell them, oh, I had a dream about your brand and this is what was happening, or I had an idea, and I'll, write it out and send them an email and, give me a call if you want to talk about it more. And so they can do that. They can laugh and think, wow, she's crazy. Or they can be like, hey, we haven't tried that yet. Let's hire her.
I mean, I love it. I love it. And it's worked.
It has certainly worked.
Awesome.
Yeah, I get a lot of great ideas. And I don't know where they come from, but I figure they come to me for a reason, so I don't sit on them.
Yeah.
We met years ago. She knows that it's been a long time, but we lost touch, and then we reconnected, I don't know, a decade ago or so.
Yeah,
We ran into each other at a networking event.
We met 33 years ago.
Are we that old?
No. And we were working for a medical company, and you were in the real estate department, and I was in the IT department. Mm-hmm. And we were great friends at the time. Mm-hmm. I had a bunch of kids, a young family, and you were just starting to think about all of that. And then we lost touch because life gets busy, and of course I move around more than you do, and jumped to another company. We had a merger acquisition situation. I've been through 6 of those in my career, Laura.
Wow.
So I learned a lot about mergers and acquisitions and team building through that as well. And then we were at a networking meeting about a decade later, and we reconnected, and that was 22 years ago.
No.
22 years ago, and we haven't lost touch for we've been in touch at least weekly since then.
I'm not sure the date's correct.
That date's correct.
Is it really?
It is. I could show you the calendars. I also keep all of my calendars and all of my notes.
Oh, yeah.
I have in my library, I have a box with all of my past calendars and notes. And
Like forever.
Yes.
That's unheard of.
You've documented your life. You
Yeah.
have proof of what's happened.
I've read that people do that, and
It's actually smart. It's too late for some of us, but
and I thought, well, what if I have grandchildren that want to know what my life was like?
I love that.
I think ahead. And then also, somebody could have a terrific bonfire. They could also say, why in the world did she keep all this stuff?
Yeah.
And they could have a great bonfire when I'm gone, too. Their decision, not
Either
mine.
way.
They can read it. And they can say, what a fascinating life, or they can say, wow, she was a hoarder.
We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but honestly, she is my Google. You ask her about anything, she knows something about it. It's insane. It's a brilliant mind.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been reading the news daily since I was a child, so I stay very informed on current events and subjects that are interesting to me. I really like to do a deep dive, and I'm blessed with an incredible memory.
Yeah.
Almost spooky for some people.
One of the funniest things we did, we were out to dinner, and I had some alert that there was a sale to go to Ireland for like $900. And the 4 was like, yeah, we're going. And we did.
We did. We were like, let's book it now. Sitting at the
we
table.
did. And it wasn't even on my bucket list, but loved it.
That was a great trip.
We'd all say we'd go back.
Right. So if I get an idea or I hear an idea is a great one, I'm not afraid to just move forward with it right on the spot. I know it when I hear it that it's a good idea.
Yeah, you're a yes person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. Let's do it. I'm always thinking, yes, and then what? Yes, and what else?
Yeah.
I try to think about yes, how can we get that done? Even if it seems like it's a big, bold, wild thing to do. Not that Ireland is that far off or that wild, but to just make a decision on a dime because you got an email.
It worked out. So with your consulting company, what size companies are you looking for? Like what's your...
My sweet spot is usually a company that is between $1 million and $10 million. People work hard to get to that first 100,000. They probably can't afford me then. And then they work really hard to get to that $1 million mark or somewhere near it. And that's when they start to see like, oh, we're growing fast. We've got a lot of friction. There's things that are outside of the realm that we know. We need to hire people that are not part of the core team. Mm-hmm. And how do we incorporate them? That's a good place for me to get engaged as they move on to that $10 million mark. Or if they're bigger than that and they have a division that needs help, a smaller division, I can probably help with the change. Or if they're preparing for an acquisition. and I can help them to make sure that the right people are in the right seats so it looks good to their investors. I've been working with a company that works with biotech companies, and there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions in that field right now. And it's just really interesting to see how sometimes the company outgrows the founder. But the founder is the one that's going to benefit from the acquisition, but their team wants to stay. So it's really an interesting spot when there's going to be an acquisition.
Yeah.
So you've sat at this seat where you've got the product, you've got the operations, you've got the marketing, and you know all of them, right? Like you have some amount of knowledge. And so you sit in this unique place, you go into these companies. What have you seen be some of the most common challenges or hindrances that people run into when they're in that growth stage that's kind of your sweet spot?
I think that when they're in that growth spot, especially if there's a strong founder, people get very accustomed to doing whatever the founder wanted them to do. And sometimes meetings, just taking a look at their communications and their meetings and how are they conducting those meetings is a really important place to start, because sometimes it's almost like we're in the military and we all get together and the founder will tell everybody what they're going to do and then everybody scatters out and does it, which is great when it's early stage, but when you're growing, you need to hear from everyone and what their ideas are and also what their challenges are so that you aren't surprised by mistakes that have happened or market changes that are happening. And so I teach companies how to follow basic rules of meeting facilitation at that stage so that they can really grow. And the first rule is always to have one person speak at a time. Very important. And the second thing would be to have nobody interrupt that person. Let them finish their thought. And then the third thing is you can criticize the idea, but don't criticize the person. Because I do see a lot of that happens. People just will say, oh, you're stupid. No, they're not stupid. And probably the idea isn't stupid either. But teach them how to respect each other in a meeting environment. Because oftentimes they've formed relationships where they get a little bit too informal with each other to be able to make progress or feel safe in voicing their idea. And from there, then we can go back to taking a look. Once again, let's analyze what's going on and figure out who's responsible for what and what are the gaps. How do we fill those holes? Everybody thinks they need to hire more people. Not necessarily. Maybe you just need to shift someone to a different spot.
I've been on a lot of different boards and stuff, and I've had thoughts and ideas, but it's like in that room, you're like intimidated, like, it's how it's going to be received. And so you're right. I tended to do that more one-on-one. I'll send the executive director a note or, so that's true.
Right. And then that works. You can send the executive director a note. However, in some organizations, that executive director or that leader is going to own that idea as if it was their own, and you'll never get the credit for it. It will never help advance your career, and it doesn't help you grow. It makes you think, wow, I should have just kept that to myself because, I'm not getting the credit for it. So you want everybody to get the credit and feel welcome to share those ideas in a very safe environment. I'm not trying to create a safe space. I'm just trying to create a safe meeting structure. Can criticize the idea all day and all night, but not each other.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a good bit of emotional intelligence involved in what you do.
Yes, and emotional intelligence is one of those things you can also help people to learn, and you can teach that. So emotional intelligence is a big piece of this. And it's a lot of the invisible things that people don't name out loud that I do, is trying to get in and figure out where all the little cracks are and fill them in. And help people understand how to fill them in. And move them ahead with grace so that people don't feel like they're being bullied or run over, or people are afraid of change. I embrace change. That's something that's also very different about me, I think, is I love change. I love to see what's coming next. And a lot of people are very change resistant. They have a very fixed mindset, but you can grow. Everybody can grow. And I like to help that. Through the process of brainstorming, through the processes of training. There are a lot of ways to make that happen in companies. And it's fun because when you do that together, it does build a team and it does build trust.
You're hitting on a lot of stuff. Because I would typically say that I don't really like change, but sometimes I just have to, personally, I have to sit with things. Sometimes it's well, I wasn't thinking that, but let me process that and see what how that goes. It's interesting. She's a good person to bounce things off of because you're full of ideas, but you're not judgmental. You're which is refreshing.
Well, thank you. There are a lot of different ways that you can get to a goal. And so throwing them all up and taking a look at all of them and then figuring out which one has the greatest chance of success is fun for me. And I also have the gift of the minute I hear something, being able to think, and then what? And then what? And keep thinking further and further out. A lot of people don't think multiple steps ahead. They only think of the very next thing. Some ideas look great until you think about all of the consequences down the road. And I can help map those out for people because we're going to get a starting point at the end and work our way backwards. To get there, but also think about what's next after we get there. What could possibly happen next? And so just opening that door for people to think that way is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
And some people love to do it and some people don't. Some people will never do it again. That's okay.
But I think it's having a consultant who, isn't like emotionally involved in the dynamics of the office or the company. I think that's can be refreshing to have that outsider's perspective.
I think that is the benefit of bringing me in, is because I can take a look through fresh eyes and through experienced eyes where I've seen some of these patterns before, and I can name them and help you name them and help you to grow beyond them. And people get stuck. Teams get stuck. This is the way we've always done it. I hear that a lot. That doesn't mean it's the way you always have to do it.
Right.
And just think of right now, Laura, all the companies that are being surprised by what AI can do. They heard it coming for a decade. They didn't prepare for it. And now all of a sudden we have all of these layoffs and companies going out of business and the whole world is changing. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, and you're probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but there are a lot of disruptors. And that's part of what you think about. You can have a strategic plan. The plan's probably good, but what if there's a disruptor? Do you talk about that? Do you think about it? I do, and I will help you to do it too.
So correct me if I'm wrong in asking this way, but I think when companies are hitting points where they need to bring in a consultant, where it'd be helpful to them, that maybe companies go too long without bringing you in, right? You get to a point where some things are more broken than they needed to be or more apart than they needed to be by the time you come on. So what are some of the kind of early warning signs or even just growth signs or positive signs that a company, listening to this podcast could say, oh, that's happening. Maybe we should think about bringing in Kat or someone else into the process?
Great question. So a lot of times I start with companies' CRM system.
Okay.
And some companies, as they reach that $1 million mark, they're just at the point where they know they need one, but they don't have one. Surprisingly, I've worked with 2 real estate agencies over the past couple of months.
Not me.
Not you. 2 real estate agencies. I was surprised. I didn't think this would be a market for me, but that didn't have a CRM and needed one. And I also worked with another real estate company a realtor that works for a national real estate company, but they're thinking, what happens if I were to change? I need to have my own CRM.
Yeah.
I need to have a backup system and help them to get that set up and get the newsletter out. Because CRM is really at that spear point of marketing, sales, and operations. So if you have a CRM already and marketing's using it one way, sales is using it another way, operations another, but they're not all talking and things don't seem to be going well, that's a good point to bring me in. And then also, if you take a look at what are your accounts receivable? Are people paying you within the time that is contracted? If the answer is no, then maybe you have a customer satisfaction problem and they're like, we're paying them last.
Yeah.
And we might need to start talking about that or take a look at it. Or maybe you don't have somebody who is calling and asking for the payment.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need somebody there that is reminding your customers that payment is due. We can also take a look at the sales team and are they meeting their quote to close ratio? And are you measuring that? And how do you help them to meet their quote to close ratio? And What are the days of sales outstanding? These are all very standard business terms that everybody knows, but who's really looking at that? So if the days of sales outstanding are growing longer and longer and your pipeline is getting slower and slower, that might be a good place to bring me in and take a look at things. And also, if operations are breaking down, you're not able to deliver things on time, you're getting complaints, or you have a lot of warranty issues, you have a lot of returns, or people have to go out and do a job the second time, it wasn't good enough. Those are good times for me to come in and take a look at what's really happening and how do we correct that so we can move forward and learn from it and not have it drag us down and put us out of business. Because if you let those kind of things go for long enough, it will drag you down and it will be hard to recover.
I have a business idea for you.
Oh, good.
Just sitting here talking.
Tell me, Laura.
So last year, I was trying to find a business consultant. And I had a couple recommended to me. I should have called you. But you should set like an hourly rate because everyone I talked to was like weeks out. And for me, it was something that needed dealt with pretty immediately. And I couldn't wait a couple weeks. And I never did get what I needed. So, I mean, that's something that I think is a need in our area. Or if somebody has kind of an immediate crisis or an issue that they need some consulting on, that's something that I think you would be really terrific at.
I'd be really happy to help, and I'm surprised you didn't call me.
But I mean, even for others.
Yes.
People that will pay you.
Well, you pay me in tea. Other people can pay me.
Yeah. Next time I'm calling you.
I won't turn you down if you want to pay me.
Yeah. You should be paid. I mean,
but I do a lot of that to kind of crisis intervention because I'm good with crisis. I'm good with change. And also identifying the crisis because sometimes the pressure point that you see isn't really the problem. It's just what is popping up at the time.
Yeah.
There's probably something under the surface that's creating that, and we can get to the bottom of it and really get to the root cause and work on a solution so that doesn't happen again and maybe some other problems are avoided too.
Yeah. It worked itself out, but it was something where it's like I just wish I had a better skill for dealing with it because I just felt like I wasn't really equipped, I guess is the right word.
Well, sometimes the first time you encounter something, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And some strong advice would be helpful. Then you
I'm
also
putting you
have
on
to be willing
speed
to
dial.
follow through. Oh, you have me on speed dial, but I hope other people will put me on speed dial as well.
So I'm curious, do you ever run into this scenario where you come in as the consultant, you're working with the team, and there's some things that are stuck that aren't going to move? Or it could be, leadership that's on the executive level, they're not going to be leaving the company, and they aren't willing to shift something or move something or grow.
Well, sadly, that does happen.
Yeah.
And what I can do is provide them an analysis, and I can make them aware of what the possible outcomes are and how that will prohibit their growth. And it's really up to the company to decide because maybe they don't want to grow. Maybe they're really happy where they are. And maybe the person that's causing the problem is a family member or they believe too valuable in some other way and they'll keep them, but they need to understand that it will prevent them from growing and achieving the goal that they originally stated. They may have to change their goal if they want to stay the same. And they need to know that the market might outgrow them completely and they might just disappear in time if they're not willing to change and adjust. And if they're willing to accept that, maybe they have a short runway. Maybe they say, I only need 10 years. I'm retiring anyway.
Right.
And that's fine as long as they're then aware if they choose to keep that problem as a part of the core of their business. It happens all the time.
Okay.
I do think that's super valuable because a girl in my office who's been with me 17 years, long time. I've always had this agreement with her that if she thinks I'm being unreasonable or if she sees something that, I want her to bring it to my attention. I think we all need an outside person to have us like reevaluate our paradigm and maybe shift it because we're not always right. We might think we are, but we're just coming from it from our viewpoint and not others. And I do think that's important that people hear like someone's opposing view and unemotionally like hear it, process it, and really make an informed decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes time, but I do think that's really important. It's good you can do that.
I could do that. And if they're ready to move the needle later, I can jump back in. But that's the thing about a consultant. A consultant is there for an issue or a season to help things move forward. So once I give them that final report that says this is what I see and it's going to stay this way, or this is how I see it will change, I'm probably on to the next thing until you call me again.
You probably walk out the door knowing like I'll never hear from them again, or they're going to need me.
Well, it's one or the other.
Right.
Have you ever fired a client?
Oh, absolutely.
You have?
Oh, absolutely.
I've never seen this side of you.
Well, I do it very gracefully and gently, and let them know that I've done as much as I can for them right now, and I'd like to refer someone else that I believe can help them with the next phase.
Yeah.
And if I do that, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily firing you, because there are times that I really am not the right person or the right fit. I just spoke with a client recently that has some issues that have cropped up, and what they really needed was a good patent attorney, and they needed somebody to get them through a legal challenge because the label of their product needed to change due to California changing some regulations, which shut them down completely on their Amazon channel because they have to be able to distribute in all 50 states. So until they get their label updated and they have that channel reopened, it doesn't matter what I do for them.
Wow.
So, and they have a limited budget, so they needed to put that budget toward the attorney right now. Once the attorney is done, the attorney knows, because I referred that attorney, cue me back up. I'm on standby. So it just, sometimes I'm the first call, but I'm not really the person that they're ready for yet. And I'll help them figure that out pretty quickly.
It's like consulting ethics. Like how do you navigate when they need someone different?
When they need something or someone different. Yeah. And I usually have a lot of contacts. I definitely love to connect with people, and I try to connect you with somebody local, even if you're far away.
Yeah.
You know, that particular client is in Florida, and the attorney that I connected them with is in Florida, but that attorney just, fortunately for them, also knows how to open up an international market that they were not in either. And so they're going to have some exponential growth.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then they'll really need me.
And they'll remember you because you handed them someone that gave them a whole new market.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm curious about, I think I've heard you speak to this a few times in this podcast already, but there's some industrial psychology kind of stuff that's part of your work. And I think that I saw a little bit of this in your profile. You kind of work with some of the DISC and some of those personality profiles, work personality profiles. How do you incorporate that piece into your consulting work?
Sure. So those are tools for me. I use those tools so that my clients have a common language to begin talking to each other and understand each other. And as Laura said, I'm an idea person. So in the DISC profile, I'm going to score really high on the I, and I'm also going to score in the D category, which means S and C, I need them to fill the gaps I don't have. And we begin to talk about that, and I can say, oh, this is what you're good at, and this is what I'm good at, and to respect each other more. And one of the other tools that I really like are the 5 behaviors. There was a book written called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Nobody wants to think they're dysfunctional, but everybody is to some degree, right?
Sure, I agree.
And so the assessment is called The 5 Behaviors of a Team, and the very first layer is trust. And when there are problems, usually trust is broken somewhere, and we can begin to work on that. So you can see, oh, this is how this person ticks. This is how they work. This is why they respond the way they do. For example, one person, when they hear about a new initiative, might be like, let's go, let's do it. That would be me.
Yeah.
Someone else might say, I need more data. I need more evidence. And it's okay, because that data or evidence might slow things down a little bit, but they'll help build the confidence of the team member.
Yeah.
And for me, the idea person saying, how do you not get this? Instead of going, why don't you get this? I'm going to be like, oh, Joe's going to need more data, so I can get Joe more data.
Yeah.
And Joe's going to be like, she's ready to jump out the gate like a racehorse. I need to slow her down. But together, we're going to work it out. So it gives us a common language. It gives us a starting point to understand each other. And those tools are really great for knowing people's conflict points, too. Yeah. As Laura said, I'm pretty calm. I get excited about things, but I'm calm.
In a good way.
So if I hear an idea and it's not my idea, and even if I don't think it's going to work, I will tend to say, let's try it your way. Let's try it and fail it fast before we go my way. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
Even if I can see it's going to crash and burn. But there's no harm in doing it. Let's do it. Yeah. And if I get to the point where I'm exploding, surprise, it can happen, it means that I have reached the end of the road. We have tried everything that I can think of, that you can think of, and I've just had it now. We're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Other people are hotheads. The minute you don't want to do it their way, they just explode and get it off their chest. It doesn't mean that you can't work together, but I think you need to recognize when somebody blows up frequently that it's important to them, but it may not be as important as it sounds as they're expressing. There might be some middle ground.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm the person that's blowing up, you need to remember that I probably considered every other option first before reaching the end of my rope. Yeah. And that helps people on teams understand each other. Like, oh, Sally's losing her stuff. We better take that seriously because we've apparently all messed up everything until now, if she's saying anything.
Right.
Because it's rare that she
blows up.
Okay. Yeah.
So those are just some examples how I use those. But there's a lot of things that you can do. It's really to find that common language, that common ground.
Which ones are your favorite?
Well, obviously the ones I'm certified in, DISC and 5 behaviors, but whatever your team is using, StrengthsFinder is a great one. I love that. I mean, the old Myers-Briggs still works.
Yeah.
And some companies say, we use Myers-Briggs. That's fine. I can work with that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the 16 personalities is free and easy to use, so it's kind of a very accessible tool.
Right.
Yeah.
It just depends. Do you want a fancy dashboard and see how everybody interacts together and where your points are? And everyone has a good selling point. They're all valuable in their own way. Mm-hmm. I am very agnostic regarding which one we use.
Yeah. I do love DISC. I'm a high I and high D as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're similar.
We are very similar. Low C and S, high D and I.
Mm-hmm. I took it twice and got 2 different results.
Well, people change.
Yeah.
And they grow.
Yeah.
And because I know I'm low on the S and the C, I work on those things just to bring them up a little bit so that I can be in what's in the middle called the hub.
Yep.
So I'm now a hub, but I started out high I, some D, and then I worked so that I could become a hub in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are all great tools. They're especially fun during a merger and an acquisition.
When you have new
scenario.
people.
Yeah, when you're bringing people together.
Yeah.
Yeah, or there's new team members.
Yeah.
You know, then they get a little badge or a little door that's, I'm a woo, and the StrengthsFinder.
I do have that one, actually.
I do too.
Yeah.
And it's a funny thing.
It is. It's a funny thing to have because of how people interact with it, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's other people have none of that, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people, you know, some companies, they have it on their door. They hang those profiles on their door so before you go in, you know who you're talking to. If it's a big company.
Yeah.
I find that amusing too. It's like, oh, you're really embracing this.
That could make sense, though.
I could see that being really helpful, especially when you're merger acquisition, you're going through a brand new merging of teams and that could be so helpful.
You know what you're walking into.
Or when, you know, you've just received some big contract and you're hiring a whole lot of new people.
Yeah.
It is helpful.
Yeah.
Just so you know, who am I dealing with, what personality type? That doesn't mean that's all of them.
Right.
But it gives you an idea of what makes them tick, what is their core, how are they going to respond to things.
Yeah.
So you're not surprised and feel like things are coming out of left field.
Yeah. It gives you an emotionally intelligent starting point.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. We have a final question that we love to ask everyone. And yours is going to be super interesting because you've done so many different things. So the question is, if you were to go back and start your career over, but get to keep all the experiences and knowledge that you've gained from your time in work, what would you do differently and why?
I think what I would do is be a little bit less patient about sharing what I know and naming those connections that I see and those patterns that I see, because every place I have been, I see the same patterns over and over and over. So calling them out, trusting my expertise in that area, and not being afraid to share that change is needed. I fell into the trap early in my career of sticking to my job description and checking tasks off that were assigned and keeping my mouth quiet about all the other things I saw going on around me out of fear that it wasn't my place. Yeah. But it's nobody's place or it's everybody's place to say what they see and to suggest that things become better. And I would have done that all a lot sooner. And I either would have been fired quicker or moved up the ladder quicker, depending on the scenario. But I would have been more true to myself because I think I sat back and watched a lot of things happen that maybe didn't need to happen if someone would have intervened, or good things that could have happened quicker. But I was trying to be a good employee. And as a consultant, that's no longer my concern. Yeah. I might have been a consultant a lot sooner as well. I've jumped in and out of that role. I think I would have landed there sooner and stayed with it.
Yeah. It fits your personality well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your insights and your story. I know I learned a lot and enjoyed it a lot. So
Well, thank you for having me. And I am open for more clients and more business. So hopefully there are some folks that will hear this and it will resonate, and you can reach out to me.
yeah, we'll link your stuff in the bottom and on the YouTube video and stuff.
Thank you.
People can reach out to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kat.
Really appreciate it.
Catharene.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's it for today's conversation with Catharene Garula. I hope you found her perspective on ownership, execution, and building alignment across teams as insightful and practical as we did. Her work is a strong reminder that growth doesn't just come from a better strategy. It comes from clarity, accountability, and the willingness to address what's not working beneath the surface. You'll find all the links to connect with her, as well as SVN Lattice, in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on Beyond the Deal. Until the next time, keep growing, keep going, and keep building your story.